Hello. Today we are going to be taking a look at Lesson 9.2, Investigation 3, where we will be backtracking to solve problems. Please set up your paper with a heading such as the one you see now, including the date, Unit 5, Chapter 9 in the textbook, and of course the lesson and the name of the lesson. Please pause the video and get your paper ready. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to use backtracking to solve problems. To start off, let's review how to backtrack with a flowchart. Go ahead and copy this flowchart into your notes and unpause the video when you're ready. Okay, so let's review what we did with backtracking. We have our output, 19, and we're looking to find our input. Let's call our input n. As you can see, the flowchart already has the operations going forward. To backtrack, we're going to undo those operations. So we're going to start with our output, which is 19, and we're going to undo the plus 3. The inverse operation of addition is subtraction, so we're going to go backward and subtract 3. 19 minus 3 is 16, so we're going to put 16 in this oval. And now we need to undo the times 4. Multiplication and division are inverse operations, so we're going to backtrack, and the opposite of multiply by 4 is divide by 4. So now we can see n equals 4. We want to make sure we are clear by writing our solution outside of our flowchart to show we really understand what we were solving for. We were looking for the input, and the input would be n equals 4. Of course, you can check to see if n is a solution by going forward in the flowchart, or you could come up with the equation for this flowchart and then plug it in using substitution. We're going to move on for now. If you'd like to check your work, you may do so now. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at our first example for today's lesson. A number is added to 12, and the result is multiplied by 6. The final answer is 114. Find the number. Take a moment to copy down this problem. Unpause the video when you're ready. Okay, so let's take a look at this word problem. I see that I'm going to look for the number. So that's going to be our variable for this problem. N is going to be the number we're looking for. I'm going to take apart this word problem piece by piece to build my flowchart. I start up top with a number is added to 12. Well, since a number is our n, I see that it says is added to 12. That shows me that I'm going to be adding 12. A number is added to 12. So I'm going to build a flowchart. Here's my n, and that number is added to 12, or 12 is added to that number. Okay, next, it says the result is multiplied by 6. The result, meaning whatever I get when I add n plus 12, that answer is going to be multiplied by 6. So I'm going to put a times 6 on top of the next arrow. Make sure this is all in your notes as well. It then says the final answer is 114. So now I know My output is 114. And again, it's asking me to find the number. So I want to find what is n. Now I'm ready to backtrack. So first I'm going to undo my times 6, and I'll divide by 6. This is a great time to show that work, not just mental math. So 114 divided by 6. And going in 9 times. And 9 times 6, I've run out of room on my screen, but of course 54 minus 54 is 0, so it looks like I will put my 19 in this circle. Now to undo the next arrow, I have plus 12 going forward. I'm going to undo by doing minus 12, and 19 minus 12 equals 7. So now my solution is n equals 7 in a brand new box showing my solution outside of my flowchart. The best way to check this solution at this point is to go back in the original problem and see if it works. So now let's go back and read it again, but instead of saying a number, we'll say 7. So let's go back up here. A number. We're going to say 7 instead. 7 is added to 12. That gives me 19. And the result is multiplied by 6. So let's find out what 19 times 6 is. 9 times 6 is 54. And 5 and 6 makes 11. 114. The final answer is 114. There's my check. The solution is n equals 7. Make sure you have this in your notes before you go on to example 2. Okay, here's example 2. Take a moment to copy this second and final example. Okay, now that you are done copying this example, let's take a look. 25 is added to a number. The sum is multiplied by 4, and 35 is subtracted from the product. The result is 121 or 121. What is the number? My question is asking me to find the number. So my variable will be n, the number I'm looking for. Jot that down in your notes. So now let's go back and find out what our flowchart should look like. In my first sentence, it says 25 is added to a number, and that number is n. So I'm going to start my flowchart with n. And it says I'm going to add 25. It says the sum is multiplied by 4. Now they're using some math language in here. When they say the sum, they're referring to this number that I get in my second oval, because n plus 25 gives me a sum. A sum is a number I get when I add numbers together. That sum is multiplied by 4. So now I'm going to add my next arrow. Is multiplied by 4. Then it says that result, 35 is subtracted from the product. The blue oval represents the product of n plus 25 times 4. I need to subtract 35 from that product. Finally, if you keep reading, you will see that it then says the result is 121. So my final oval has my output 121. Now that my flowchart is ready, I can go ahead and backtrack to find out what n is. Pause the video and solve this flowchart with backtracking. When you're ready, unpause the video to see how you did. Okay, let's backtrack. First, I'm going to undo minus 35 by adding 35. If you add 121 and 35, you should have had a sum of 156. Next, let's undo times 4 by dividing by 4. Let's divide 156 by 4. Whoops. Let's go back and fix that. And again, I'm running out of room here, but you see we'll get 0. So I have a 39 in this oval. And finally, going back, I'm going to subtract 25 and 39 minus 25 gives me 14. So my solution is n equals 14. Let's go back and check to see if n equals 14 is indeed a solution. So back in the problem, 25 is added to a number. That number we came up with is 14. So instead of a number, we'll say 14. 25 is added to 14, so let's go ahead and check going forward, and I'll get 39. It says that sum is multiplied by 4. So this is my sum because I added, and now I'm going to multiply by 4. 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 more is 15. And then it says 35 is subtracted from the product. This is my product because I multiplied. I'm going to go over here for some more room. 156 minus 35. And I'm going to get 121. It says the result is, there you go, 121. So now I know n equals 14 is indeed my solution. What is the number? The number is 14. Make sure you have this in your notes before going on to the last page. Okay, to wrap up, you are going to try 2 problems on your own. Please copy number 1 and leave plenty of room for your flowchart. Then copy number 2 as well. Problem 1 is just like example 1, so go back in your notes to example 1 to help you. Number 2 is just like the problem we just did in example 2. Use your notes to help you. Once you have your flowcharts, go ahead and backtrack to find your number. Then go back into the problem to test if your number does make sense. Have your notes here in school ready to go over. Do your best job. Thank you.